What's up, guys? Just got in the new Geo Gen 2 Algae Reactor, and we're going to do a setup video on it. Here's what the reactor comes with. It comes with the reactor itself, two 15-watt Crimson LED bars, one 30-watt power pack, two unions, and two ball valves. Some of the key features to this reactor versus other reactors are the external LED bars. These bars are easily removable. They slide up, pop out of place, and there's a slot at the bottom for the cable to go through. Put them back, it's really simple. Push down into the slot, snap it into place. One of the neat features on this unit is these lights are vented. So one of the benefits about having the external LED bars is it does not heat up the water inside. These are also vented, and they have vent ports here at the bottom and the vent port here at the top. As heat rises, they will naturally vent themselves. Another nice feature about this reactor is it comes with these ball valves connected to the union. Makes maintenance really easy. You can turn the valve off, disconnect the union, pull the lights off the reactor, and then take the whole reactor to the sink to clean it out. A few other features on this unit is the lid is clearly marked with the inlet and the outlet. Lid is also easily removable. Loosen up these thumb screws, twist to the left, pull straight up. Underneath the lid, there is a screen to prevent Chaeto or whatever macroalgae you're using from getting back into your system. Inside the unit is a two-tier holder for the Chaeto or whatever other macroalgae you're using. This is a fluidized unit, so water enters through the top, flows through the bottom, and up through your macroalgae. It's very simple to put back together. It just sits in the center here. Lid goes back on. Tighten these down. Next, we're going to go over the install. The install is pretty straightforward. A few things you're going to need that the reactor does not come with is some tubing, a pump. I have here two different kinds of pumps. One's an AC pump and one's a DC pump. The DC pump gives me a little more controllability. I can increase the flow if my nutrients are high, or I can decrease the flow if my nutrients get low. The ball valves essentially do the same thing on top. If you are going to use the valves to control the flow, you want to choke down the inlet valve instead of the outlet, because if you choke down the outlet, it will cause unnecessary pressure inside the unit and could cause leaks. All right, I just got everything plumbed up and the LED bars plugged into my Apex. I have them on a light schedule. They're going to come on at 6 p.m. and turn off at noon the following day. The lines here are ran to the, one is to the AC pump, and the other one is returning into where my filter socks would be. I just want to go over how easy the maintenance is real quick before I get this thing filled up. You just turn your pump off, close these ball valves, loosen the unions. One thing I might do is label this inlet and outlet, because once you take this thing to the sink, you might get those confused. Take the lights off again, slide up, pull out, set them out of the way. It's as easy as that. So next we're going to get this thing filled up with some Chaeto and some fresh salt water. Take the lid off. The size of the Chaeto balls I'm using. We'll do a follow-up in a few weeks to see how much they grew. All right. Filled up with fresh salt water. Get the lid back on. Good to go. I wanted to go over why I'm using the algae reactor when I already have a refugium. My tank runs higher nutrients. My nitrates are around 30, and I'm always battling phosphates. I have to run GFO. I'm thinking if I have a separate algae reactor on top of the refugium, that I might be able to get the nutrients down a little more. I just put the lights back on, hand tightened the unions, and opened the ball valves, leak tested everything. Everything's good. I do highly suggest if you run a reactor externally that you have some sort of fail-safe. I have a leak detection in this cabinet, and if for some reason the reactor did leak, my Apex will turn off the feed pump to it. Now that the reactor is all set up, I'm going to be running this for the next few weeks. I will report back to see how much the Chaeto has grown and if it has made any changes in the nutrients. Hopefully it's lower. It's been a week so far since we set up the reactor, and I wanted to take a look inside to see how the Chaeto's grown. To do that, you just lift up on the light, pull it out of the way. Has these nice viewing windows so you can see your progress. It's been a week so far, and the Chaeto hasn't grown crazy, but my phosphates have come down from 0.1 to 0.08, so that's a good sign, and we will see if it continues. So another thing I wanted to show that I did to make maintenance easier is installed a switch to my breakout box. This switch is linked to the feed pump for the reactor, so when I come to do maintenance, if I forgot my phone or something, just flip the switch off, turn the valves off, do my maintenance. So I wanted to go over for you Apex users how I set up the switch on a breakout box. Here you can see I have the cabinet switch. Put it up here out of the way because I don't need to look at it. Come down here to the Chaeto reactor pump. See the programming, very simple. Fall back on, set on, so it's always running. This also has the leak sensor programmed into it, so if cabinet leak closed, then off. If cabinet switch closed, then off. Pretty basic, easy to set up. It's been 3 weeks so far since I set up the algae reactor. I'm now going to bring it to the sink and replace some of the Chaeto. To do that, I just turn off the switch, lift up the lights, pop them out of place. Make sure the cord comes out of the slot. I'm going to close both these valves on top. A little rag to catch some of the water, and undo these bulkheads. Gonna leak a little bit, that's okay. All right, ready to come out. Just brought the reactor to the sink. I'm going to take off the lid and harvest some of the Chaeto. To do that, you loosen these screws. This one's already loose. Twist and lift up. See underneath, still pretty clean. Don't need to do any maintenance yet. Lift this straight up. The Chado's probably doubled in size, but it still has a lot of room to grow. So I'm going to put it back and let it do its thing. It's probably going to be at least 2 months before I actually have to harvest any of this, which is nice. It's a pretty large reactor. Put the lid back on. Let's make sure this is centered. Twist, tighten these screws. The reactor's been running about 2 months now, and I just want to do a little update on the Chado growth. First, it started off a little slow. I started with a little Eheim 100 gallon per hour pump. I don't believe that was enough flow for this reactor, and with what my nutrients were at, I think it needed a little more. So I did put in a DC pump and bumped it up to around 200 to 300 gallons per hour. It probably could have went even more. I think the more flow you put through these things, the better they perform. But definitely anything under 100 gallons, it kind of struggles. The Chado doesn't grow much. Once I bumped up the flow, everything started growing much better. So take a look. Chado inside. It's definitely filled the whole reactor now. So overall, pretty happy with the reactor. I'm going to harvest this Chado, put a little bit back in, and bump up the flow. I think I'm gonna try to get between 300 and 400 gallons per hour. I think that'll really maximize the Chado growth and really hold the nutrients at a lower level. This did lower my nutrients from about 30 to 20. So overall, pretty pleased with it. The extra space, even the extra lighting helping with pH at night, the overall benefits of a algae reactor are great.